What we now know as Children's Homes Incorporated began in 1955, when the Seventh and Muller Church of Christ in Paragould, Arkansas, took in 4 children who needed a home.
One couple took them all, and then finally 4 couples took one each, and they wound up in, of course, being moved several times. And Vance Greenway, who was the director here at that time, he realized children were being moved too often. So he said, let's build a house for kids.
And so it began, a 60-year journey that would see children's homes grow from a simple act of kindness on the part of a local church eldership to the ministry that exists today, touching the lives of thousands of children along the way. J.T. Ashby joined Children's Homes as resident manager in 1960, shortly after the second cottage was built.
I was preaching at Bay, and one of the elders at Bay told me that the elders from 7th and Muller wanted to meet with me. We discussed it, the elders at 7th and Muller wanted to get me to come to the Children's Home as a resident manager. So the elders at Bay released me, and I moved to the Children's Home in 1960.
While J.T. was only with Children's Homes for about 6 years, he was responsible for hiring the man who would eventually serve as executive director for 17 years.
I was in a meeting at the County Line congregation, which is south of Jonesboro, and James was preaching there and teaching school at the school they had there at the County Line. And
while he was there, he said, by the way, we need house parents in Cottage 4 at Children's Home. And I thought, what is a house parent? So I asked him. He told me, come to Paragould, I'll show you.
They came up and we went through all the cottages and discussed work with them and such. And the eldership at 7th and Muller, which was totally in charge of the home, told me, said, hire him.
We'd only been married 2.5 years when we came. We had no children. Not having any children, and then you come in and you have 9 overnight. And people say, how did you do that? Well, we didn't know we couldn't, so we just did it.
This culture shock was common back in the early days when there wasn't as much training and preparation as there is today. But that began to change when James stepped up and accepted more responsibility as resident manager in 1968. It was also around this time that James was accepted into the University of Denver School of Social Work.
The change it took several years. It took a few years after I left. When James went to school, went to Denver and got his training, and with the help of Brother Vance Greenway.
We didn't even have an adoption program in Arkansas. When I went off to school and came back and started it, there was nothing here. And then we got the first license for adoption in the state. And also we were the first agency in a sense to be doing foster care.
With the expansion into foster care and adoption services, Children's Homes was able to help even more children. And as one of the first private agencies in the state, our influence went well beyond just the children we personally served.
I was involved in several committees and boards, and when the state decided that private agencies needed to be, quote, licensed, I was one of the first members on the Child Welfare Review Board and stayed on there about 20 years.
Once these programs were established, we expanded them across the state, setting up satellite foster care operations in Texarkana, Fort Smith, Searcy, Newport, and beyond.
The church at Newport, where I was working at the time, became involved in child care. We had several houses that we used to house foster children, and several of our members were involved in it, and we got involved in it as well. That was back in the late 60s, early 70s, And some of the foster children that were placed with our families were later adopted by those families. There were a lot of those kids that became Christians as a result of being with Christian families in Holden Avenue. Some of them were foster children, and some of them were adopted by those families.
During this time of expansion into other areas of the state, the local campus in Paragould continued to grow as well. By the mid-70s, there were 6 cottages on the campus. Offices, food and clothing warehouses, and recreational facilities were also added to further serve the needs of the children under our care. And that expansion has continued through to today. Under the direction of men like Paul Shandoval, who joined us in 1996 as Director of Child and Family Services, and Micah Brinkley, who took over as Executive Director in 2004, we continue to improve the quality of care we offer children through opportunities like the Balcom Learning Center, where children receive a quality education, to programs like equine therapy, Children's Homes Adventure Challenge, Pathfinders, and 4-H that build character and help heal the wounds of the past.
When you take children and you see them respond to the training that you're trying to get them to do, then it's just very rewarding, and you've got to give God the glory for it.
Children's homes provide a place and Christian parents and Christian education, Christian environment for these children to grow up to be healthy, mature, well-rounded Christian individuals.
And it's not just the children that benefit from the work of this ministry.
The church has grasped what I'm going to call Vance Greenway's vision. We have, over the years, helped a whole lot of Christians, I believe, go to heaven because we've helped them to become caretakers of fatherless children.
Children's Homes Incorporated. Help, hope, home, since 1955.